Hey guys, this is Alex with Creative Vision Tree and Landscape. Here today we're going to be talking about the Buckingham Tree Squeeze. It is a device, a climbing device that's used. The intended, marketed purpose for this device is so that as you're climbing up the tree, if you unintentionally gaff out, you don't have to grab on and hug the tree and maybe take a little slide and get some bark burn on your arms. Its intended purpose is to keep you nice and secure while you're climbing all the way up the tree. Doesn't matter how high you have to go. We are going to talk about the pros and the cons, what are the best situations that you use this device for. But before we get to that, let's get over to setting it up, how to use it. Then we'll talk about, do a little bit of climbing with it, and we'll talk about afterward the best scenarios to use it in and some of the cons that you're going to face while using the device. Alright, so let's get started here. So basically, you see it's got this Prusix here with this ring. As you notice, it's got a larger ring, smaller ring, so keep that in mind. You can use a little retrieval ball like this one if you need to. But in terms of the size of the tree that you could use this on, you could pretty much, about, depending on what type of tree it is and if it has these bigger knots on it or not, but pine trees, are what I typically use this on, and it's really the only type of tree that I normally use it on. Very rarely do I use it on anything else, because as you can see, most of the trees have a lot of lower branches, whereas these pine trees are going to have, you're going to make it up 3/4 of the way or so, in most cases, before you really need to get over a branch. Okay, so with that said, about a 3-foot in diameter trunk. Okay, that's what you're going to get out of this right here. I've never had to use it in that situation, so obviously it becomes more difficult the bigger that, because you can't get around the backside of it. But since it's it's a wire core, it's stiff, easy to flip and get around obstacles. So all you do is you set this up right here, get it around your trunk here, you set this up. You want to leave a gap. Okay, you want to leave a gap. You're going to feed it through. Put on a carabiner. Obviously I've got an eye here, so it's easy for me to just flip it on, clip it onto my harness. No tying and untying there. Obviously if you're using like the taunt line hitch or something like that, this is not going to work for you. If you're using, it would be way too much of a problem for you to deal with if you're using like a taunt line hitch, because you have to have a tail. So you need to have a tail and then make your tie onto your carabiner. It's not going to work out for you. Then you make your friction hitch. I use the Michoacán. I've been using it for probably, I don't know, a 1.5 years or so now, and that's just what I'm comfortable using. I tried like a couple of different hitches. I don't remember all of them. I think one of them was a Prusix that I tried, and it just didn't feel as comfortable to me, so that's just what I'm comfortable with. You could try whichever hitch you like best, Diestel, Schwabisch, so on, whatever you are used to using. And what you want to do, you want to make sure that before you get started, have it to where you've got it fairly tight up, where you're gonna, at the distance, because it's a lot more difficult to deal with tightening it up once you're already got your weight on it. You'll have to take off your lanyard and flip it over, drop onto your lanyard and stuff, and you're gonna see that's one of the downfalls to this system if you have any branches or stubs that you have to get around. I take the tail of this In every case that I've ever used it in, there's always going to be some kind of tail, and I send it through my D-ring right over here just to get it out of my way. I take my line and I clip it onto a clip on the side of my harness, get them out of the way. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get your hands, you know, preferably you want to have some gloves on. I didn't grab any gloves right now, but you're going to have some gloves on so that you don't tear up your fingers. And you're going to get under this right here so that you can keep on walking up, and you're going to see how this works here. So you just take it on up. And you can see, obviously, as the tree gets tapers downward, you're going to see that your rings are going to get a little bit closer. Not a big deal right now. It's still going to work perfectly fine. But once I get up a little distance, you can kind of use it as your take a breath break. You know, you go ahead and tighten it down a little bit so that it's back to where it needs to be. You see how great this works though. And in situations where maybe there's another tree that you're removing that's right next by, you know, right next to this tree, you could literally climb up and just start to work off of this right here. I mean, it's a really nice device to have and to use. Like I said, I only use it on pine trees because, well, you see I still have only made it not even halfway, and there's still plenty of vertical that I can keep going. All I need to do is just make my adjustment here, and then I'm ready to keep on going up. You know, but you just loosen off your hitch, take it, tighten it up, tighten up your climbing line again, and you're ready to keep on going. Now, obviously, as you can see, this system, this is the reason why I only use it on pine trees. Because when you look at this here, if you make it up to a branch, to cross through that branch, I have to do one of two things. Either one, I cut that branch off, then I could keep going, advancing through, if you can do that. But maybe you need to rig that branch and you can't do that. So, you know, obviously if you've got, depending on your circumstance, your situation, if you could just butt tie it, have a little pulley, you know, maybe you got a strap, strap it up with your pulley, run your rigging rope through there, rig that up, wham, cut through it. Now you can keep on going and you don't need to take any of this apart. But in the case that you need to take it apart so that you can keep on advancing, you're going to have to take this, take your carabiner off, take that off, right? I normally just clip this right back in, get around your branch, right, above your branch, and come back over here, and that's going to be the only way that you can keep on going. You know, so if you've got to do that a lot, I mean, I'm not saying that it's a huge deal or anything like that, but it can get a little bit aggravating if you're dealing with it a lot, you know. You know, with certain types of oaks, there could be tons of branches in your way, you know, codominant stems, you know, and it's just going to be kind of annoying to deal with. If you gaff out, which if you're got the right angle and stuff like that, you shouldn't, but you might, depending on the species of the tree. Got real thick bark, your spikes aren't, you know, sharp at the moment, you could, and it has happened to me, and you'll slip out And obviously you could see right here very clearly that it just squeezes up against the trunk, and you can go ahead and you know, I mean, right off of, you know, you could just go right back to getting back into position and keep on going up. But you can also just work right off of this if you needed to. Just pull that out of the way. I'm going to pull my rope off of the clip that I have it on here, on my harness, just so that I can put it back into. And, you know, no problem. I use this a lot when I'm piecing down, you know, if I'm taking down a pine tree. I've already removed all the head off of it, and now I'm piecing it down, either just dropping pieces or whether I'm rigging the pieces. You know, let's say I already took everything up above where my rope is at. You know, I come down and I'm taking it in whatever 4 or 5 foot sections. Now I just come down to this point right here. I put my lanyard on. Make sure I spike in good, right? And well, really, while you still have this on, if you're ready to just notch it up, you could just come around. If you need to put your notch over here, doesn't matter where around the tree, you know, it's really nice. You could just swing around, go ahead, cut your notch out here. You're ready to go. Really speeds things up a lot. So you're gonna set yourself up right here, and now you're ready to go. You've got your lanyard, you've got your forgetting the name already, the tree squeeze set up, and you go ahead and do your back cut on this thing, and you drop it down, and then boom, you're off, you're ready to do the next one. And so you just, again, drop into it, slide down, and so on. So let's get started here. Obviously, it depends on, you know, you can see it's pretty long, the device is, so you can use this on some pretty large trees, and I have used it on some pretty large trees. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, the review on the tree squeeze here. So, you know, ultimately, my personal opinion is I would definitely recommend that you get it, especially if you've got a lot of pine trees, maybe palm trees that you're dealing with. You know, something that doesn't have a lot of branch out at a low point within the tree. It's a great device. I personally, you know, there's some guys out there that they you know, are super comfortable with just their lanyard. It's quick, they don't have any trouble with it. But for me, it was always kind of a concern, like, man, when I first started climbing and spiking up the trees, I said, man, you know, what happens if I gaff out? You know, and if you're 10, 15, 20, even 25 feet up in the air, you know, that doesn't seem like such a terrible thing. But when you're up there and it's 50, 60, 70 feet up in the air, that extra added security that this is going to give you, it's worth every penny. So if you like the video, hit the like button for me. Subscribe to the channel. We've got a lot more videos that we're going to be coming out with for tree equipment, tree rigging situations, and just some cool videos of jobs that we have gotten into and done. We'll catch you on the next one.